you know, I guess that's how my whole life has been, is wow. You know, for somebody that helped my dad dig graves for a living, change tires, farm, you know, this is a long ways from that. And, you know, I couldn't be here without a lot of people's help and a great family. First off, my best friend, my dad, and that's most people's best friend, is somebody that I never heard say a cross word, somebody that never told a lie, and somebody that everybody called when they needed help. And that's really speaking of the whole Fritts family. My grandpa, and you've heard this word before, if you buy any fishing tackle, my grandpa D.T. Fritts was the same way. My grandma, and even, you know, my kids here today, Delisa and Thomas. And it's sort of special to grow up with hard work and to know how to treat people. And I guess that's probably some key to my success. 1969, I was on a church outing, and my mom and my aunt always took me fishing. It wasn't my dad, because he was always working. He was a workaholic, but you know, that comes into play. That teaches you where you need to be in anything you do. But we're on this church outing. I never will forget this. And you know, there's really three big key things that happen in my life. This is the first one. We're on a church outing. I'm 12 years old, maybe, 1969, 1970. And man, I love to fish. I mean, it didn't matter. Wherever I was going to be fishing. And you know, I was a really good carp fisherman. I'd made up my little concoction of dough, and I was really pretty good at carp fishing. And I never will forget, her name was Thelma Earhart. She was our Sunday school teacher. And that day she come down, and I was out on the pier fishing. You know, everybody else was out swimming, having fun. I was having my fun too. And she gave us a lure. And I remember her putting that in my hand, and I'm thinking, you know, what is this? And she says, I think it catches bass. And I'm looking at that, I said, well, what do you do with it? She said, I think you just tie it on, throw it up there, and wind it back in. So I'm thinking, well, that's pretty easy. I can probably do that. I got my old push button reel. You know, back when you're 12 years old, it ain't like the kids today. They're throwing bait casters when they're out old. And I threw this thing around a little bit. And I never will forget, there was a pole between the dock I was on and the next dock. And I said, I'm going to throw up there by that pole. And I prided myself as being a pretty good caster. And I threw it up there, and I started winding this thing in. I hit that pole, and I said, dang, darn it, I'm going to lose my bait. I'm hung up. Well, about this time, and it's just like it was yesterday, this fish comes up with a mouth that big around. And he does that number. And you know what? I like that. That is what got me started bass fishing. And from then on, heck with everything else, I wanted to go bass fishing. You know, got me a little aluminum boat, little 20 horsepower Johnson motor, and every chance I had to get my dad or my aunt or my mom or somebody to drive me around and take and haul my little boat around. But that's how it really all started. 1985, and this is, you know, quite a bit longer after that. I'd been bass fishing. I was in the club, the South Lexington Bassmasters, and I got upgraded to the High Rock Bassmasters, which had a lot of super good fishermen in it. A lot of good fishermen. And I met this guy named Jerry Lohr, and And Jerry Lord, a lot of you have heard that name. Still the best crankbait fisherman I've ever been in the boat with. So I knew if I kept throwing this bait and kept winding it, I was going to catch some fish. And so I've done that. It took me 5 or 6 years before I even caught a fish on any other bait besides a crankbait. And so 1985 rolls around, and I'd been fishing a few tournaments. Actually, I'd done won a little local tournament. That was a pretty big tournament in our area. And there was this circuit that just started up. It's called the Red Man Tournament Trail. Anybody ever heard of that? That tells you how long ago this was. So 1985, you know, I'd work all week, changing flat tires and putting rubber on tires and work my hind end off to get my $50 to go put in for an entry fee to go fish these tournaments. And, you know, 1985, it was just one of those years where something was special, something was a little bit different. It seemed like fish started jumping in my boat for some reason. And not that it really happened literally, but it was just one of those years. And I made the regional classic in Georgia. And it was on Lake Sinclair. And this is something that would change my life forever. In practice, Jerry went with me, we was practicing, and I'd actually threw a crankbait out there, and I had a fish to hit my bait, and I'm thinking, man, there's a bunch of fish right here. And most of you would think, well, why in the world how'd you know there's a bunch of fish there? I could just tell by the way the fish pushed my bait. And anyway, to make a long story short, I pull in to the dock, and a lot of you have probably had the pleasure of experiencing this. And this is something that I will always remember. I pull up there on the dock. Jerry went to get my vehicle. And I look up there in those pine trees. And I saw the prettiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. A Blue Ranger boat with gold stripes. And it had an Evinrude engine, and in front of that was a Chevrolet truck. And I'm thinking, man, if I could win that, I'd just be the king of the world. I'm thinking, and a cold chill would come over me. And that only happened one other time in my life, and that was in Birmingham, sitting in the parking lot at Jefferson Civic Center. That's the only 2 times that's ever happened to me. And as the story goes, I end up, got fortunate enough to win that tournament. And when that happened, it was like the whole world opened up. I got to meet some people that really helped me. And like I say, I'm sort of like Mark, I can't name everybody. But the Ranger rep then, his name was Roy Brown. I don't know how many of you in here remember Roy Brown. But Roy was really quiet. And he come up to me and introduced himself, and he said, you ever need anything, he said, let me know. I'm going to call you in a couple of weeks and take you to some people and let you meet them. And I'm thinking, man, this is good. This is a good deal. And so anyway, a couple of weeks go by, and he comes by and picks me up, and we ride to a place called Green Boat Motor. Most of you probably heard of that. Hubert and Rose Green. And I remember walking there, and I've never been anywhere where I saw that many boats. I'm thinking, Lord, have mercy. How in the world does anybody have this many boats? I mean, they were every bit of $15,000 back at that time. And I'm thinking, man. And Rose was just as pretty as she could be. But the thing is that I looked over in the other room, and there was another young lady in there that I thought was the most beautiful woman I've ever laid my eyes on. Her name was Sandy. And I could see why they sold more boats than anybody. You go in there, they put your arm around you, they talk to you, and they know everything about a boat. First thing you know, you shouldn't have bought a boat. So it was just sort of one of those things. But great people, they knew the product, they knew everything else. Then about a week later, I got to meet another lady. And, you know, I like meeting ladies. Ladies were always nice to me. Her name was Mildred Stewart with Ranger Boats, and she had a little associate with her named Kim Ott. And I can tell you right now, I wouldn't be up here right now if it wasn't for that lady. She has helped me in every way that I know possible. You know, it's harder to talk to people that help you than it does talking to a bunch of fishermen. It's pretty easy when you're talking to a bunch of fishermen. But, you know, sort of one thing led to another. And, you know, the first thing I know, I never will forget, I shined that boat. I had it for 2 years, and I got on the Ranger team, and I thought that was the best thing that's ever been. And it's still, I think, the best thing that's ever been, 45 years. And then some other key people started coming into my life. One of them, their family's sitting right over here, Ed Chambers. Ed Chambers is him and Lynn Reeves sitting at my table, and probably Forrest Wood are what I call century people. They come along once in a century. Me and Ed were really close, and Ed loved crankbaits, and I loved crankbaits, so we got along really good. I never will forget, Ed would call me, I'd call him, and that's all we talked about was crankbaits, how to build crankbaits, how to make them better. And I never will forget, I wanted to make a hook that, I told Ed, I said, you know, if we can make this hook that was a single hook, we would never lose a fish on a crankbait. And that was my big goal anyway in life was, you know, developing a rod, you know, having the right rod, reel, line combination, and hook to actually, when you got a bite, catch them. Because I knew if I could ever figure that out, you could win. And Ed said, well, come on over and we'll sit down and we'll mess with it. And we messed and talked, and I went by there 2 or 3 times. And then Ed said, well, why don't you just put one big hook on the treadle? I said, you know, that's what I've been thinking. I just need to know what angle. And that's how the scorpion hook come around. That's how, well, actually DMC makes it. It's called a sure set. And sure enough, if a fish bites it, you ain't gonna lose him. If he knocks at it, yeah, you probably will. But if he bites it, you're not gonna lose it. But that's the kind of guy Ed was. Ed Chambers was probably one of the most innovative people that I've ever been around. And I'm proud to call him a friend. He was a great guy. Lynn Reeves, another guy sitting here, he's one of the guys that has the vision to see the future. He knows what he's doing. He knows the product that he has. And, you know, for somebody to bring Luz back the way he did, I don't know what to say, but he's just, you know, one of those guys that come around in every 100 years. Forrest Wood the same way, had the vision. But anyway, I can tell you story after story about fishing. That's how I got started. You know, I've been fortunate enough to do what I like to do for a living. I've been fortunate enough to be blessed, and I've been fortunate enough to have a good family. And I told them guys when they brought me up on stage at Lake Lanier, I said, boy, I'm glad I got inducted while I'm still living. I said, because a lot of people are not. A lot of people are not. So I felt really compelled, and I said, man, all I can do is live 4 more months, and I'm going to be up here on stage. So anyway, I made it.